Julius Soubise parried the Duke of Queensberry's thrust with balletic ease, dancing to the music of steel against steel. Each interception was like a brushstroke on an artist's canvas, painting a polished picture of craftsmanship.
Your technique's improved, Soubise. I can see that you've gained far more balance since our last lesson in England.
You taught me well, Your Grace. I owe all I know to you.
Soon your training will be complete, and then you'll be the master.
They poured their hearts into the match, creating a beautiful fencing ballet with locked swords. Soubise eventually gained the upper hand, dispossessing the Duke of his sword and placing his blade on the Duke's chest, all in one continuous movement. Faintly disturbed by something, but unable to identify the cause of his disquiet, his eyes searched the darkness, trying to penetrate the silent impression that played upon his senses. The sound of movement intruded upon his consciousness. He walked a few paces, and then noticed a muscular-looking native from the South Trelawney tribe of Maroons. His name was Leonard Parkinson.
One of these days, Leonard, you'll get us both killed.
The sound of a battle horn blared into the Trelawney sky over Shaw Castle that aroused the attention of Captain Finch and his patrolling guards of the 83rd Regiment of Foot.
I bring a message from the Duke of Queensberry for the Colonel. I am unarmed, as you can see.
You don't fool me, Soubise.
You should trust people a bit more, Captain Finch. You might find you actually like them.
The only Negro I trust is a dead one. Your very next roll if you don't clear away from here swiftly.
Does that prevent me from seeing the Colonel?
Not at all. My instincts tell me that you're going to make one mistake too many this time round, put an end to you for good.
Then I am forever in your debt.
You shall repay it, Soubise.
Soubise dismounted from his horse.
Ah, the Swordsman of Trelawney.
At your service. I bring you greetings from the Duke of Queensberry.
Really, Soubise? You don't expect me to believe that, do you?
What else would bring me here?
The Maroons, perhaps?
I hope I haven't come in vain.
I'm a merciful man, Soubise. If my mercies are appealed to.
Name your price, and I'll raise it.
You can't pay it, Soubise. The Trelawney Maroons are the enemy of His Majesty the King, and will be relocated at his pleasure in the free colony of Sierra Leone.
And if they refuse to cooperate?
Then death will end their rebellion. You can tell your Maroon friends that we've imported 100 Cuban hounds to hunt them down in their hideouts. Tonight.
He turned and walked past the door. He stopped, and then looked back at Craskell.
One day I'll meet your challenge with a sword, Colonel.
Your tongue will dig your grave, Soubise.
This is what we're going to do. We'll draw out an attack from them so that we can dispose of those hounds one by one. That'll just leave the soldiers. No one is to do anything unless I say so.
He turned his attention to an archer who was strategically placed in a tree just above him and gave him the signal to begin his offensive. The archer notched an arrow that was tipped with fish bones in his bow and then plucked it like a harp. It propelled smoothly through the air, accelerating at an incredible pace as it climbed into the sky. Losing height, it decelerated downwards and lodged itself in the exposed throat of Captain Finch, shutting off his death cry. Within the blink of an eye, the first wave of Maroons began charging towards the Redcoats.
Kill the Maroons!
A storm of arrows dropped out of the trees from strategically placed archers, picking off the hounds one by one. When they were all disposed of, the warriors made a transition into combat formation, ready to face the 83rd Regiment of Foot.
We fight for Jamaica, Subis.
Jamaica will fight for us. Long after we're dead, this island will produce sons that will fight another day.
We'll meet again in a life to come.
The 83rd Regiment of Foot advanced in a rhythmical stride pattern, holding their bayonets forward like an army of grim reapers. They progressively dismantled the Maroon defense by emptying their shells into them, and then turned their attention to Leonard. There was a look of strength about Leonard as he crouched in combat formation, reading their intentions as they fanned out around him, moving in for the kill. He held his wooden shield in his left hand, protecting himself while he absorbed the positioning of each soldier. He waited until they were within 10 feet of him, and then released an axe into the air with his right hand, sending it into the middle of the forehead of a soldier, causing crimson rivulets to flow down his cheeks while the handle protruded from his face. Leonard then kicked up some dirt in the eyes of the nearest soldier, forcing him to drop his musket and wipe his eyes. He stole to his waist with his free hand to draw a cutlass from his sheath, and then knocked the soldier off his feet with his shield. Another soldier lunged at him with his bayonet, but Leonard shifted sideways in careful, measured movements, parrying the thrust with his shield and then bringing the cutlass down on the soldier's neck. He caught a glimpse of a soldier charging towards him from an angle, and sent his cutlass through the air to meet him, embedding it in his chest as his knees gave way to the ground. He smashed aside a soldier with centrifugal force using his shield, and then dispossessed another soldier of his musket, bringing the shield down on his skull, which snapped the vertebrae from the top of his neck to the small of his back, breaking the shield in half. He took in a deep breath, feeling a reserve of energy in his lungs to continue, but now completely defenseless. He held firm where he stood, waiting for certain death. The 83rd Regiment of Foot closed in upon him, advancing silently, rapidly, ready to claim his being like a grim reaper.
Farewell, brave one.
The soil of Trelawney plays host to your Maroon friends, Subis. Soon it will play host to you. This'll be our last fencing lesson, Subis. You asked me, what was the price for Maroon freedom?
You never did give me an answer to that one.
You were the price, Subis, and I am the debt collector in full. I will make an example of you in front of slave and Maroon alike. Your allegiance to the Maroons is commendable.
On the contrary, Colonel. My allegiance is to King George, my heart is with the Maroons, but my sword is for Trelawney, and even that is greater than my heart.
I see the Duke has taught you well.
Kraskell began to lose momentum and decided to rush back into the castle. Subis caught up with him and renewed the duel with a flourish. Their blades clashed at incredible speed as their shadows danced on the walls. He made his way back to his office and hid behind the door. Subis followed him inside and then turned round when he heard the door slam behind him.
To the death, Subis!
Kraskell shot forward with his blade and sliced Subis across his bicep, drawing blood that swelled in his white shirt. Subis paused for a while to look at his wound and placed his 2 fingers in the blood to taste it. Rage immediately ripped through his face as he spat the blood out and renewed the duel with even greater conviction. He began to gain an advantage, wearing Kraskell down by disabling his defense. He switched his sword from the right hand to the left hand, forcing Kraskell's sword into the air. There was nothing left in his arsenal as all he could do was watch his sword drop to the floor. Subis pinned the point of his blade to Kraskell's throat, watching the fear in his eyes as Kraskell waited for the final thrust to come.
Listen, Subis. Death is closing in around you. Tie him up!
You may have won the battle, Kraskell, but the war is still on. One day Jamaica will win its freedom. Then you will know what it's like to be on the losing side.
This is not that day, Subis.
He closed the door, sealing Subis' fate for good.